Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode here of In the Zone. I'm Giancarlo Aulino, joined here with Chris Martelli and Anthony Pagniello. We had to put him on the IR here for this week, salary cap purposes. Pagniello makes a lot of money here, but he's on the IR for this stupendous episode. Chris, WrestleMania once again that time of year. This year, they've done some promotion, but only for a few matches. Do you think the build has been as good as it should have been, and compared to years past?
Wrestle fucking Mania. You gotta love it. The build, obviously, I've said to you before we went live, it's kind of similar to WrestleMania 35, 2019. The build for that Mania specifically was built around maybe three matches, and obviously the one that stood out the most was the first ever women's main event with Becky getting both belts to dethrone Charlotte and Ronda. But this one, the same thing for me. It's a winner take all, kind of like that one with Brock and Roman Reigns. And of course, other than that, they kind of went a little lazy this year. I know there was, I think I want to say January, Bianca Belair had a lot of momentum, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, kind of let's tone it down a bit. But I think you predicted this from day one when Becky came back and defeated Bianca. I think you did say from August that we would get these two at WrestleMania. So kudos to you for predicting that. But other than that, there's only a handful of matches that I'm generally interested in because of the lack of the build. But just like WrestleMania 35, I thought in the long scheme of things, it was a pretty damn solid show, even though the match didn't really have the best build for it. So let's get into the card. I hope though it's overall a great show.
Yeah, they're just looking at the card. Like they have both women's title matches on night one, and they have a tag team women's title on the next night. So like you brought that up before the pod. Like this is interesting that they did that. You would think that it would split it up, have the Raw on one night, have the SmackDown title on the other night, but it looks like they're trying to maybe have inside competition there. They know Charlotte and Becky are competitive. They want to outshine the others, so maybe it'll bring the best out of their match. But like just going on Charlotte and Ronda, how it looks like it could be the main event of night one. Ronda on the mic though, like I don't know, she's kind of turning a lot of people away. Like I look on Twitter after SmackDown and Raw when she cuts her promos, and a lot of people are kind of pissed off that seems like she's phoning it in. They don't think she's invested or interested at all. Like, do you think they're making a wrong decision if they have that main event?
Yeah, Ronda is terrible on the mic. I'm not gonna be I'm gonna be blunt about it. Again, some people like to generate. They're good at what they're good at, and Ronda's good at just being a badass, keeping her mouth shut and making the action speak louder than words. When it comes to words, she's not the greatest at it, and the fact that it's going to main event, it turns me off a bit. Like I know it's Charlotte Flair, I know it's Ronda, I know they have that aura behind them, but it just seems like the result is going to fall flat. And I know Stone Cold and Kevin Owens is going to be on night one. It's in Houston, Texas. I think they should maybe close with that, even though it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it's not a match. I think it's a segment. So I would still maybe close with that because he's a local boy. Everybody loves Stone Cold Steve Austin. When that glass shatters, that entrance hits, holy shit. It's going to be the biggest pop of the night for sure. And I can't say the same for this Ronda Charlotte match. I know it's going to be fun. It's probably going to be hard hitting. But if it's going to main event night one, I think it's going to fall flat.
Yeah, like I know they had that good match on Survivor Series a couple years ago, but now this is something different. This is a main event of WrestleMania. This is going to be a lot of people are going to compare this after with everything that happens on night two. So I think we saw last year what happened where it set the stage. Whatever closes night one, we saw Bianca Belair and Sasha have a great match, and a lot of people are saying that was worthy of it. The build made sense, and everyone was interested in it and invested. This one, I'm with you. Like I just don't see it here, but going on to the other side of things, now you have Becky defending her title against Bianca Belair. Do you think that should have maybe taken that spot if they're going to go with the women's match main event?
Oh yeah, and it's no knack to Charlotte, and you could say the card, the the meaning behind it is, oh, we're tired of Charlotte, because that's all, that's all we hear for the most part is, yeah, Charlotte is probably the pillar of the women's division, but she's been going down our throats the last 5 years. She's been getting main event after main event after main event. And Becky Lynch, same thing. It's just in different variations. Becky was off for a while. She came back. She basically squashed Bianca Belair, and Bianca was at the top of her game at the time. We haven't seen Bayley in a while. We haven't seen Sasha Banks at the top of the mountain. Between Becky and Charlotte, I think Becky has a little more of the heel heat right now, and I do think it would be the likelier option for them to main event, just even based off of the year that Bianca Belair had. I would rather have Bianca Belair main event than a Ronda Rousey. And the casual fans, I know they would say that sounds ridiculous, but if you just watch the last year of both what Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch have done compared to Charlotte and Ronda, I think that favors in Becky's favor for sure. And I also want to apologize, Aulino. I didn't give you a prediction for the Ronda and Charlotte match. I do think Ronda Rousey is winning the women's title, and I do think it's going to be a very, very underwhelming match. And I don't see the fans honestly getting behind it. I know a lot of fans don't like Charlotte Flair because of the long and the amount of title reign she's had, but just the way that Ronda Rousey has been since she's come back, I feel like the perfect word has been underwhelming.
Oh yeah, I'm with you there. I see her losing the title, and just whatever happens there, I just don't see, unless some crazy shit happens in that match, I don't see it like really being something where fans are going to talk about at the end of the weekend. But like even going into Becky and Bianca, like, so you have Ronda winning the title there. Who do you have winning the Becky one and Bianca? And what do you think happens for whoever loses the match? Like, what feuds next?
It's funny because I was going to say Bianca wins the title too, but now that I think about it, I don't see both of them losing. So I do think Charlotte would be the one to lose before Becky Lynch, just based off of what I saw on Raw. Bianca got the best of her, cut her hair. Becky's now rocking this new, more punky kind of look. I really like it. I think this can rejuvenate Becky Lynch and her title reign. I know she's had the belt for quite some time, and even the reign before that, Aulino, I'll quote you. You said that reign was too damn long. So I really like what Becky Lynch has done as a heel. And again, she came back as a face. We haven't seen her in a while. She comes back, takes all of Bianca's momentum, and then rides in the sunset. I think this would be either way, man. I think Bianca benefits, even if she does lose here. And I think she will lose. I got Becky Lynch retaining. And I think kind of like what happened when Bianca retained again. Remember when Becky Lynch retained against Shayna that year, and everyone was kind of like, oh shit, I didn't see Shayna losing. I think it's the same thing here. I think Becky's going to surprisingly beat Bianca Belair, but I think Bianca, regardless, man, whether she turns heel or stays face, I think the momentum is going to stay in her favor, and she's going to still be a really important player in the women's division moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. That's a solid prediction there. And well, they have Backlash also like next month. They're calling it WrestleMania Backlash again, so they'll probably have a few rematches. I can see Becky and Bianca, depending on what happens at Mania. Maybe that even main events Backlash next month. So you could also have Bianca Belair get her moment in the rematch. But Charlotte, this is a tricky one. Like Ronda, I don't think would be on every single week. Probably like once in a while, and maybe she doesn't defend her title next month. But what do you do with Charlotte then if she's losing? Like, who would make sense in a feud with her?
I would love to see her returning Asuka. I know she's close to a return. I don't know if she's leaving the company. I really don't know the status of the women's division, but Sasha Banks is in that tag team match. I think she's going to end up winning that with Naomi. I just don't see the other teams winning. That match to me doesn't make any sense, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, you make a good point. If Charlotte loses the belt here, what's next for her? She's feuded with she's feuded with Rhea Ripley before. Nikki Ash. I know Alexa Bliss is injured again. There's not really a lot of opportunities for Charlotte. But how about this, man? I just thought about it off the top of my head. Let's say Ronda Rousey dethrones Charlotte Flair. Would you like to see maybe Liv Morgan step up and get that opportunity to go one-on-one with Charlotte?
Oh, that'd be good. Because we seen it in the past, and they didn't really have like a long feud. We've seen Liv on Raw have her feud there with Becky, but I think that would be refreshing. I'd be okay with that.
I mean, yeah, there's not a lot of big-time players to face Charlotte after WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Ronda Rousey, if she wins the title, to me, that's a big question mark moving forward. It's kind of like, it's funny because I kind of look at Ronda Rousey as Brock Lesnar in terms of you don't know what her status is going to be, even if she has a title. Is she going to be on every week? Is she going to be on 2 times a month? You really have no idea. So, again, I will say, though, I think Charlotte does have a bigger chance of losing than Becky Lynch.
Yeah, should be interesting to see. Both of them on the first night, which is interesting. I thought that was weird timing that they did that, but it's loaded on that night because they also have Rey Mysterio and Dominik versus the Miz and Logan Paul. I think this might surprise some people, but like, do you see Miz and Logan Paul winning, or do you think they'll give Rey and Dominik their moment?
I think it's perfect on both sides of the spectrum because we've seen these two linked for the last 2.5 years. He's slowly building Dominik as to become that, perfectionist, that really good performer, and that luchador. And that could be a cool story, seeing the family win. Or what we've seen recently on WWE.com and on their YouTube channel is you go behind the scenes and you see how close knitted the Miz and Logan Paul have become, even in the ring and in training. So if Logan Paul does get the win here, that would also be a pretty cool spot as well. Kind of like last year, what we saw with Bad Bunny. I don't know if he's going to surprise as much as Bad Bunny did last year, but I do like the Miz being that mentor leadership type of guy here with Logan Paul. I definitely see the Miz and Logan Paul coming out here with a surprising win and a surprising performance from Logan Paul.
Do you want to see Rey or Dominik turn? I know I'd like to see Rey, but can you see that for the next night that one of them will turn on each other?
I do want to see it, man. Come on, I want to see Dominik slap Rey in the face. I think that would just be be so funny. We've said it since January. We maybe thought we would see it at the Rumble. Maybe, every man for themselves, Dad. I got to throw you over. But I would love to see that. The night after, maybe Dominik comes out. He's a little bit animated on the mic, and then Rey obviously comes out, interferes. But my only question is, I assume you make Dominik heel at that point, but it would definitely be an interesting idea moving forward. We've said it for 3 months. It has to come eventually, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that'd be something different, and it would, if they do a program one-on-one, that's like the only thing I think it could be where it would work, because if they're both a face, and I think everyone would expect Dominik to win, but that would be something different. And I don't know, there's a match here that, oh man, Drew McIntyre, Happy Corbin,
Happy
Madcap
days.
he's on the outside. Like, these guys have been like wrestling, it seems like every single week for the last year. Like, why at WrestleMania? What makes us special? Like, do they even gain anything out of this match?
I'll tell you who makes this special. Madcap Moss. Difference. He's the difference here, because honestly, dude, it's been the same shit since they became the Hounds of the whatever the hell they were called back in 2019 with Drew, Corbin, and Braun. Do you remember? Was it the Hounds of War? Something like that, when they feuded with the Shield. That was like the last time, or that was, sorry, the first time that those two linked up. And ever since, they've just been connected. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Corbin could be a top face. He could be a top heel. Drew could be a top heel, top face. They're going to just eventually align. And that's the case here. And it's funny, Aulino, I was listening to all of our WrestleMania predictions. This is our 4th one on the pod. Shout out to In the Zone, 4 years already. But dude, doesn't this kind of remind you of Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns 2 years ago, where the name is there, but you kind of just don't give a shit about this match. And I hate to say it because Drew McIntyre had a hell of a year last year. 2 years ago he beat Brock Lesnar to win his first ever WWE title, and now he's facing Happy Corbin. And it's safe to say, I hate to say it, Aulino, but I don't really care about it. And Drew McIntyre deserves better. Happy Corbin, I'm happy he's on the card, but he also deserves better. I just feel like this is going to be an 8-minute match where no one cares. I was saying before the pod, I don't think anyone cares. They're going to be eating their popcorn, looking at the match, looking at the ring, and they're just going to be saying, this is really the best for Drew. And then all of a sudden the bell's going to ring, and that's the end of the match. And obviously Drew's winning this. If Happy Corbin wins this, the fans will definitely – they won't be happy. I'll say that. So I got Drew winning this in a very meaningless match, unfortunately for him. And you're going to look back at this once Drew McIntyre's career is over, and we're going to have a big fat laugh about it. So, yeah, I got Drew McIntyre winning this.
Yeah, this one, fuck, like these two guys, I don't give a shit about this match. Like, they could have made something meaningful since they're throwing all these tag teams together on night 2 with the 3 teams. I'm surprised they didn't add Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss into the SmackDown tag title. That would have been different. And Damian Priest isn't on the card. After last year, he was part of the big celebrity match, and maybe they could have had an interpromotional thing, made a big deal of Drew versus Damian Priest. So I think they missed out on a lot of opportunities here. But like this match
you made a good point.
Is just like filler. Like everyone going to the washroom, unfortunately. And they're both good. It's just when you've seen it so many times, like at WrestleMania, just doesn't add the same like mystique to it. But like the Usos is another one here. They're taking on Shinsuke and Rick Boogs. Are you expecting a title change or
No, I'm not, man. I think the Usos are going to take care of business here, and it sucks because the tag division deserves better, especially on SmackDown. Over the years, we've been treated to the Bar, the Usos, the New Day, even Alpha Academy. They had their time on SmackDown as the champions. I just feel like Shinsuke and Rick Boogs, like, come on. This is another filler match. This is another match, like you just said, we don't really care about. I mean, the Usos have been doing great things with Roman Reigns at the head of the table, and they have that faction going, but the Usos deserve better too here, even though they might be ringside for Roman Reigns in the main event. This comes off a little bit fillery bullshit, and it's just a waste of time, I think. So I got the Usos retaining here. And, dude, before you say it, I just want to bring up what you mentioned before. Drew McIntyre, man, like, you could have done a handicap match just to bolster his face run. You could have had him face Damian Priest in an interpromotional match. Here's the kicker, Aulino. You brought this up about a week ago. The United States title and the Intercontinental title, I don't think are being defended at the show, and that is a slap in the wrist to creative, to Vince, to everybody who creates those titles. They're meant to be defended on the grandest stage, and they disappoint yet again. And here's a big name, and this is a match that it's going to piss people off, especially hearing this, Aulino. They're really not going to do Finn Balor versus Drew McIntyre?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Like that's a layup. That's a layup at this point. And the fact that Finn Balor is not involved at WrestleMania at this point, do you just if you're Finn Balor, do you just like request a release at this point? Because, dude, he deserves. If Rick Boogs and Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss are going to be on the card and Finn Balor isn't, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah, they're on the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown. So they're not even, like, him and Priest aren't even having a match. So they built that up for so long, and they're in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, of all things, on SmackDown. So that's not even on WrestleMania anymore. That just makes it even better. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. And speaking of don't know what they're thinking, we have the exact same tag team match happening again. The New Day versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland. Are you excited for this match? Like, because I think they should have just done Xavier Woods and Sheamus and made a big thing that Xavier Woods never had a WrestleMania moment, and Kofi and Big E did. So, Do you think they should have changed things around here, or are you happy with the tag match?
Oh, that's pretty sick, man. I never even thought of it like that because I was telling you before the pod, I was excited to see the New Day be in a tag team match against a guy like Ridge Holland, a guy that I haven't really seen too much of. To me, he's still a little bit of an unknown. And Sheamus is my pasty pale Irishman. I love him. He's been my boy since day one, way back when he put Cena through that table to win the WWE title in surprising fashion. But that you make a great point. Xavier Woods has not had that WrestleMania moment. Sheamus is a freaking first ballot Hall of Famer. And yeah, that would be a WrestleMania moment for sure. Even if Sheamus were to win it, I still think. And dude, let's not forget Xavier Woods, King of the Ring winner. I still think a lot of people forget that. And you could bring that could bring a little bit of value to Xavier Woods' name if they were to build a singles match with Sheamus. So it's unfortunate they didn't go that route. Aulino, I've said it so many times, you should be employed by WWE because your creative is out of this world. I didn't even think of it like that. So, yeah, I would love to have seen Sheamus versus Xavier Woods in a singles match, but I'm just as excited because, man, we've seen it before. Sheamus got thrown into a tag team randomly, and that tag team became the Bar, and they became one of the most must-see tag teams. So if Sheamus can do the same thing he did with Cesaro with Ridge Holland, I think we have a match here, man, honestly.
Do you think the New Day is going to go over just because of what happened to Big E when Ridge Holland accidentally mistimed the belly-to-belly and broke his neck? Or like if the New Day lose, do you think that just makes more people rally behind them for maybe Backlash when they probably have a rematch?
Yeah, it depends on how they want to build it because the Usos are the tag team champions. And I'm going to predict that Sheamus and Ridge Holland win here. And I think Sheamus will get the pinfall just based off of the sympathy card. I think, with Big E's injury and how devastating it was and where he was set up on the card, basically, I want to say a lower tier main eventer. He wasn't, at the Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns level, but just under it, maybe at the same level as Seth Rollins. But yeah, him getting injured unexpectedly definitely puts sympathy and pity towards the New Day. And I think they're going to continue with that theme. Kofi Kingston hasn't really been relevant since his Kofi Mania, as went wild, brother, way back 2019. And, Xavier Woods, I mentioned he was the king of the ring, but obviously they just put that on the back burner as they always do. So I think Sheamus is a marquee name here. Ridge Holland is a guy that's up and coming. And with that Big E injury and the sympathy card, I do see Sheamus and Ridge Holland getting the win here.
Well, now everyone's going to be talking about when some of these filler matches take place. When the hell's Stone Cold going to come out? And him and Kevin Owens are, it's planned as a KO show, but this is probably going to be like a 10 to 15-minute segment, just a brawl around the arena probably. Do you think this should close WrestleMania and send the fans home happy for night one, or do you think this will probably be like a filler in between the main event and maybe following one of these tag matches?
Oh, hell yeah. This should definitely main event. Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. When Kevin Owens came out to Stone Cold's theme and he put the bald cap on, and oh, dude, that was freaking must see. That was hilarious. I'm so happy for Kevin Owens because this guy, he feuded with Roman Reigns earlier on I think it was last year, early 2021. He put on that almost match of the year type match. He feuded with Seth Rollins a year before at WrestleMania in the when there was COVID, and that was absolutely incredible too. And this is, I guess, his big moment. A good Canadian kid, arguably main eventing a segment with one of the GOATs. I love it. And of course, Houston, Texas, going to get a big pop. KO is obviously going to get his ass handed to him. Like we always say, Stone Cold is he's going to stomp a mud hole in him. And I think that's going to continue. He's going to drink his beer. He's going to stun him. He's going to beat his ass all over the arena. And I think it's just going to be an absolute treat to watch, man. We don't have a lot of nostalgia this year. And I think this is one of the cases where the nostalgia takes over, and a lot of the casuals and a lot of the diehards, they're going to love every second of this because you have a mix of the internet darling gem and Kevin Owens and the OG GOAT and Stone Cold. So, dude, whatever happens here, give me a hell yeah. This is going to be great.
I can't wait for that. Should be a good one, regardless of what happens. Always fun to see Stone Cold. But now the match that everyone's talking about, Seth Rollins versus to be determined. Mr. McMahon is going to announce his opponent the night of when Seth is in the ring. Everyone, they think it's Cody. He's re-signing. He's probably scheduled for Raw, but they haven't announced it yet. If Shane McMahon's theme hits and he ends up being the opponent, or Goldberg, how pissed off will you be, Chris?
I know, Aulino, I know you love saying that. I'll be furious. I said I think the whole crowd would hijack the whole show if it's either of the two, because Seth Rollins deserves better than that. The Houston, Texas faithful deserve better than that. And that would just come up flat, dude, because we already talked about 2 filler matches that we said straight up we do not give a shit about. So if Shane McMahon comes out after the amount of hype and the amount of teasing that guys like Corey Graves, guys like Pat McAfee have said about, it's going to be dashing, it's Cody Rhodes. It's got to be Cody Rhodes. It can't be anybody else. I called this dude 2 weeks ago. I said, listen, if he's not going to come out on Raw, it's going to be the night of WrestleMania. It's going to be a backstage thing where you see Seth Rollins maybe ripping paper, kicking chairs, and making a fuss. And then Vince McMahon comes out of his dressing room and says, hey, buddy, you're up now. You're opening tonight's show, and you're facing Cody Rhodes. Then Cody comes out, and we have a freaking 5-star match. Now, it's funny because we talk about this last for night 1, dude. I think this is opening the show, honestly. I think this would be a perfect way to get the crowd freaking invested, get the crowd on their feet. And what a perfect way, I think, to kick WrestleMania. Not with Shane, not with Goldberg, but with Cody Rhodes. Dude, I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I know you make these predictions and these bold takes, and they're almost always right. I hope it's Cody Rhodes, man. I hope it's not Here Comes the Money. I hope it's not the I hope it's not none of that. Hope it's Cody Rhodes. And I'll say Cody Rhodes beats Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a good point that they should have it open, because that's when the crowd's going to be like most invested. The pyro goes off, and if you open it with like Becky versus Bianca Belair, I think that should be saved maybe later. I think they should have that before Charlotte and Ronda, because ego would get involved in it. I think that's what would probably be the best thing, because then Charlotte will see the Becky and Bianca Belair match and be like, okay, Ronda, get ready. We're going to have to fucking top that. Just stand in the corner and I'll do the rest. And I think that's what would probably be the only way that match will be saved. So, yeah, I like that as an opener. We'll go on to night 2 here, because I think that's probably going to be the better night in terms of in-ring matches. We got Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. Anything goes. I think Johnny Knoxville's flying off the fucking upper deck and doing something stupid. How crazy do you think this match will get?
Crazy. This is the guy that has led Jackass for 12 years. This guy would get decked by a bull and get up. I don't know what to expect with Johnny Knoxville. I know Sami Zayn, he's not the one really to take those big bumps. Like you mentioned, expect Johnny Knoxville to take a stupid bump, kind of like what happened with Shane and The Miz at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. Shane, where he did that ridiculous spot and he ended up getting the pin. Wait, did The Miz win that, or did Shane win that?
Oh no, Shane got that one.
Yeah, Shane got the win there. Yeah, I remember his hand was on top of Miz's body and they count the 3 or whatever. That was corny as hell. Expect something similar here. Here's the thing, though. I don't really know who's winning this. Aulino, I guess I'll piggyback off your prediction. Who do you have winning this one?
I want to say Sami Zayn, but like Johnny Knoxville's going to do something. I hope he doesn't get fucking seriously hurt. Like, this guy always raises the bar, does something different. Like, this is not going to be a typical celebrity match by any means. It's going to be a stunt fest. I think he's going to go through a wall or something backstage. Maybe they'll film something beforehand. And then as the match goes backstage, they'll play that video and the crowd won't think, so they can set up the next spot in the arena. But I think it's going to get crazy. But I think Sami Zayn should get the win when this is all done.
Yeah, dude, I'll agree with you. I was kind of leaning more towards Sami Zayn just because the celebrity guys, they usually don't get the win. And the only way how they get the win is if they have a little bit of wrestling experience, or they have someone in their corner. So, Aulino, do you see Knoxville having anyone in his corner, or do you think this is just going to be a straight up, like you mentioned, a spot fest where you have Knoxville like immediately grabbing a chair, immediately trying to hit him with it, and just extreme everything. Because I don't know, I would like to see Knoxville maybe be with somebody, but I do see Sami Zayn getting the better of him. And what do you think is next for Sami afterwards? Because he's been known to be a comedic act the last couple of years. I know dude, everybody forgets this, and I guarantee you forgot it as well. WrestleMania 36, he faced Daniel Bryan and he beat him.
Oh,
so when do we start seeing that Sami Zayn again?
yeah, I totally forgot about that. Maybe after that, maybe they have him keep on like continuing it on SmackDown. Like he beat Johnny Knoxville, and you'll make it more of a big deal than it is, and then he'll say because he won at WrestleMania, he doesn't get opportunities. But I actually have a feeling they might lean more towards Sami Zayn and Pat McAfee for some reason. Like I think they'll go and have Pat McAfee be his next big feud, like somewhere around like Money in the Bank time, because Sami Zayn's been killing it with all the segments. I think they're gonna keep this going longer, and maybe Pat McAfee will be his next opponent.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The guy has an unbelievable podcast. He's got guests up the ass every single week. Just you have different celebrity, different sport athletes come in his way, and kind of like what happened with Adam Cole. I could see the same thing with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn goes on his show, acts a little arrogant, cocky, and yeah, eventually you get a feud there. So I'm completely in your corner there, man. I agree with you 100%. I think eventually, after Pat McAfee feuds with Austin Theory, when that's done, I think Sami Zayn is the next guy. And that brings us to Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. I mean, Theory's going to have a long, successful career. I guess he screams Randy Orton 2002 vibes for me, Austin Theory. I think this is the beginning of a unbelievable WrestleMania journey. Who do you have winning this one? I think Pat McAfee gets the win here.
Yeah, when they first like announced it like that, I was thinking Pat McAfee, but like every segment, like when Pat McAfee was on Raw, then on SmackDown, like on the commentary, they're kind of getting people prepped up for maybe Vince McMahon's gonna cost them. So I'll go Austin Theory wins just because McMahon comes out and helps his boy get the win.
Now, here's the thing, too. Like, Vince McMahon usually isn't involved too much at WrestleMania. How many segments do you think he's going to be a part of this year? Because there's the Seth Rollins interaction that he can arguably be a part of. I still have a hunch, Aulino, that he might be involved in some capacity in the Stone Cold segment. I don't know how, but I do think there's something boiling there. And then this segment here with Pat McAfee, I think this is going to be the most Vince McMahon we see at WrestleMania since probably 20. So, or not 20, 19. So what do you think about Vince McMahon's his involvement this year? I feel like he's been involved more than ever before.
Yeah, I think this is going to be like of all the WrestleManias, this is the one where he'll probably be involved the most in recent years. I think for sure with the Rollins one, I don't think he'll be like at ringside. Maybe just for the beginning, he'll announce the opponent, then go and direct the rest of the show. But I think night two, we're going to see him a lot. I think for especially this match with Austin Theory, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like outside the ring, sitting on the commentary table, and ends up going in Austin Theory's corner, give him some advice. So I think this one, night two, we'll see a lot of them.
Can you see a Vince McMahon low blow to Pat McAfee?
I think he's going to hit him with a chair. I don't think he wants to
even better
hurt himself and damage that suit or wrinkle it up. He's like, yeah, screw this. Just give me the chair and I'll whack him with it, and then you'll leave.
I would love to see Vince versus Pat McAfee, because that was rumored when he went on the show, and he's like, "Oh, I'll give you a WrestleMania match, just not with me." So I was like, "Oh, all right, this is different," but I need to see Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon before McAfee versus Sami Zayn. But either way, McAfee, it looks like he's got opponents. He's got a card down the line. So good for him, man. He's been killing his pod, and very happy for McAfee.
It's popping there. And speaking of that, RK Bro, Orton and Riddle, going into this, I thought maybe they'll retain, but now that the Street Profits turn heel and you got the Alpha Academy, do you think it's time now for RK Bro to lose their tag titles?
I think this is where the Street Profits win the title. And I will say it's because of a miscommunication. And I think this is going to be the turning point of RK Bro. I wanted to say, man, in February that we were going to see Matt Riddle versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania, just based off of how big of a name both of them have become. I mean, Randy's always been the big name, but Matt Riddle over the last year and a half, to me, has arguably been the most improved in terms of character. We all know he was always beloved, but at this level, when you're teaming up with Randy Orton and you're getting the most pops every week, you've clearly improved in some sense. So I'm really happy for Matt Riddle. I'm really happy for Randy and how they got the ball rolling. And it's just, I don't see this reign lasting any longer. Even when they won on Raw, I was surprised. I didn't see them winning. A lot of people anticipated Rollins and Owens to win that match, and that didn't happen. But this is where, man, I see either team winning except RK Bro. So expect a title change, I think, on night 2.
Yeah, and speaking of other big matches now, that's a big one for RK Bro because it's gonna maybe put on that feud. But Edge and AJ Styles, we got the new heel Edge. I'm looking forward to this. I think Edge wins it, but like, do you think AJ, like, there's a chance for him to win it? Like, would it damage Edge?
You got Edge winning, eh? That's I mean, he hasn't won he beat Randy Orton 2 years ago, and then he lost last year, getting double pinned. That was badass by Roman. People forget that. I see AJ winning here, and I think it's just because he needs more momentum, man. Everybody knows who Edge is. Everybody knows he's got the new theme. He's got that heel look. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, and he's reinvented himself not time and time again, just like what Chris Jericho has done over the years. And this is where AJ Styles, man, as a face, he is an elite baby face. When he's on a roll, he can go and be the top baby face in the company. So I think Edge sees a lot in AJ. They're both obviously a little older than we all want to accept. Edge is in his 50s and AJ's in his late 40s. I see AJ Styles getting the win here just because, man, I don't know if this is just me. I really want to see AJ Styles feud with Roman Reigns down the line. I think this is a time where we haven't seen AJ Styles get that title opportunity in years, man. It's been years now. So I think this is where maybe AJ gets his momentum back. He puts on a 5-star, maybe not 5-star, but a hell of a wrestling match with Edge. And I think Edge is at that point in his career where he's going to put AJ Styles over here. And yeah, I don't see AJ Styles losing. This is a dream match for me. I already have goosebumps talking about it, but regardless, I'm going to be happy. The wrestling community is going to be happy. Aulino, pretty sure you're going to be happy. We're all going to be happy regardless, but we're on different sides of the spectrum here, brother. I got AJ winning it.
Speaking of being happy for a match, Chris, what are your thoughts on Bobby Lashley and Omos coming out now night 2?
I'm so happy for that, man. I'm so happy I don't give a shit about it. That's how happy I am. When you told me in our group chat that Omos is getting a WrestleMania match, I almost shit a brick. I was like, no, please. I don't want to see Goldberg versus Omos. I don't think anybody wants to see that. And again, Aulino, call me crazy. I know he's been around for, a year and a half now. I still don't feel like he's ready to have a singles match. I haven't seen enough of Omos. Omos was obviously with one of the GOATs in AJ Styles, but to really have a singles match at the show of shows against a guy that just had one of the best years, I'm not going to, because people are saying, oh, this is great for Bobby. He's on the show. No, that's what they want you to think. It's just, to me, it's a flat out disappointment. And Aulino, we've already mentioned it twice in the pod. This is a filler. So the fact that Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre are in filler matches this year is a flat out insult to what both superstars are capable of and what they've done over the last year. It's just insulting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a quick 2-3 minute match tops. I think Bobby Lashley looked like he was kind of injured a little bit still. I think they're just going to do something where Omos is like overpowering him. He maybe hits a spear quickly, pins him, and just after he hits a 3 count, Omos just pops up. And I think that's all to protect both of them. But yeah, this is a filler. Now going on to a match that won't be a filler that everyone's talking about, winner take all, Lesnar versus Reigns. Who are you calling in that, and what do you think should happen after it's done?
Holy shit, dude. This is the This is the match. This is the match that everyone cares about. This is the build of the century, the match of the century, they call it. Dude, honestly, flip a coin. I said for the longest time Roman Reigns was going to win, but the more that I see Brock Lesnar and the more that the fans get behind him, it's hard to go against either guy. But I gotta still go with Roman Reigns winning here. I just know that they have a plan for him moving forward, at least comfortably. Um, I think they have a plan more comfortably with Roman after Mania than Brock. You don't really know what you're going to get with Brock. Is Brock going to still be full time? Is he going to accept the workload that he's been doing? What's next for his face run? I have no idea. But in terms of Roman, he's the top heel. He's been the top heel for 2 years. He's been dominating every single competitor he's faced. I have Roman Reigns winning here, man. Whether that's help from Paul Heyman, whether he wins clean, I have Roman Reigns winning both the belts here. But the unfortunate thing about this, Aulino, is I don't see him carrying both belts. I see him dropping one immediately after. So to answer your question, what you think happens after, I think Roman's going to keep maybe the Universal title, potentially drop the WWE title, maybe have a tournament for it, and maybe we could see Cody Rhodes immediately win the WWE title maybe a week or two after WrestleMania. What do you think about that? I know it's a bold take, but I don't know, man. When this whole winner take all happens, kind of like what happened with Becky, it was good for a solid month, and then immediately they kind of just like, okay, you can't hold both belts, you can't work both ships. So what do you think about that prediction? I have Roman winning here. I just don't know what they're going to do with both belts on one superstar.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Roman wins it, takes both titles. Well, they'll probably say to him, "You have to drop one." They'll give him like two. They'll drag it on, but I agree with you with that. Like, I think there'll be a tournament. Like, Roman wins, keep the Universal title, stay on SmackDown. Brock, I think it's been full time now since maybe end of August last year, September. So I think he'll take a month off, and we'll probably see him as we go into end of May and June when they build up for Money in the Bank, because that's in a stadium in July, and then they have SummerSlam also in a stadium end of July. Labor Day weekend, less than a month after that, another stadium in the UK. So I think they're gonna have Brock off TV for a while and take advantage of those dates towards the summer. So Roman wins, and then The Rock comes out at the end to challenge Roman for next year.
Yeah, you know what? I love that. It's it's so tough too because Brock, man, I've said it to you time and time again. This is the most invested I've been in him ever in his long career. So, the fact for him to drop the main event at WrestleMania, it's really hard to believe. And the fact that he beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, was that 32 or 33? That was a big surprise. So, Roman Reigns will probably get his revenge here. Hasn't beaten Roman at WrestleMania yet, as funny as that sounds. And yeah, dude, Roman Reigns, he's superstar of the year. One of the best runs I've seen in a long time. Alino, I want to ask this question because I predicted Cody Rhodes can maybe become the WWE champion. If not him, who else?
Yeah, I got Cody and Edge probably for the title. I think that could be a big program for them, but I think with Cody coming over, they have to make something like a big incentive for him to agree to leave his EVP status with AEW and make it worthwhile for him. So I think that's why he'll probably go to WWE. He's going to get a title opportunity and probably the main event title right away.
Now, the easy thing is here, Alino, is we assume that it's probably Seth, right? Like, first name, as soon as I said Roman Reigns is going to drop the title, the first name I thought of was Seth Rollins is going to win the WWE title. Drew McIntyre is going to win the WWE title. But the two takes that we both have just mentioned, Cody Rhodes, a guy that's still not even really in the company yet, and Edge, who has come close to getting it. I mean, he got close to getting the Universal title, came up short. So you see Cody and Edge feuding, or do you see one of them taking the belt and running with it? Because honestly, dude, if Edge wins the WWE title, do you know how many possible dream matches there can be in that title run? That can just be astronomically unbelievable, especially if you have Roman on one side of the field dominating maybe on Raw with his heel run with Paul Heyman, and then you have Edge on SmackDown as a top champ. Dude, it just, I feel like, again, I'm going to say it. It has to happen because you said it. And you're the guy that makes all these bold predictions come true. So, Aulino, come the night after Raw or maybe 2 weeks after, I'm going to text you before it happens. I'm going to say, hey, I smell it. I smell Edge getting the WWE title. I'm going to feel like it's 2008 all over again. It's going to be great. Might as well bring the spinner back too, right?
Oh yeah, bring that to maybe John Cena will come back too. They can do that feud again, Edge and Cena for
For the
SummerSlam.
17th? That would be
Good.
crazy. Yeah, full circle.
Well, this has been a stupendous WrestleMania preview. For stupendous WrestleMania is what they're calling it. We'll see how many of our predictions came true. We're right. How many of our predictions went the complete opposite, and maybe Happy Corbin and Drew will have match of the weekend. So we'll leave it at that. And next week we'll get Pagniello's takes on the matches he thought were the best that stood out, and we'll see you next week.